Yo everyone, what's up? This is Teddy Creek coming at you with some Assassin's Creed 3 deathmatch gameplay. I love this game. I had a rough time finding a match, but I found one and I got an actually pretty good gameplay. Really good first kill off this part. But I'm here to talk about something that's probably a couple weeks too late, and I apologize for that. But I'm here to talk about some Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the new game that was revealed in the gameplay teaser trailer awesomeness that was out, I think, a week or two. I can't remember. I'm losing track of time. It's been too long. So first, let me give you some quick little background on the game. First off, it takes place during the Industrial Revolution in London around the year 1868. And the city itself, it is more modern, but it reminds me a little bit of Unity. I don't see a whole lot of change. I see less people, less rioting, but that was only from the gameplay parts that I saw, except for towards the end with the big fight scene. There was quite a bit of people, but a lot less, I guess, hustle and bustle maybe. My total thoughts on the city itself, I'm open to it. I think that I'm not a big fan of us progressing closer to present day, which it's not really that close, but it's not that far off either, 1868. But I'm more of a fan of ancient history, like Egypt, Greek, but we're probably not going to get one of those games in a really, really long time if we ever do. But I was more of a fan of the older times because I didn't really know more about them. I feel like in school we learn more about the present industrial progression of history. Next, I'll touch on the two characters that you play as. You play as the siblings Jacob Fry and Evie Fry, both brother and sister. Jacob seems to be the aggressor. He's definitely more of the hands-on approach. Let's do stuff now. Let's get it done. I'm ready for change in the city. And Evie seems to be more the brains behind the operation. She's thinking things out tactically. At least that's what I could get from the gameplay video that we saw for the little story mission. We haven't seen gameplay of Evie. And if you didn't know, you can switch in between two characters. So say you're playing as Jacob, you're like, oh, I'm going to switch and play as Evie, or vice versa. I'm not quite sure how they'll do this, if it's only in free roam, or if it's in missions, or if it's in both, which would be really cool. They could do it something sort of like if you played Grand Theft Auto 5, how you could switch between, oh wow, I can't remember their names, but the three main characters just by click of the controller D-pad. You get a cool, like, different perspective on each mission, so that'd be really cool. Personally, I'll probably be spending my time as Evie a lot. She's a boss. I like how she thinks through the missions and she's tactical. I like Jacob too, don't get me wrong. I like him more than Arno from what I've seen. So that's pretty cool. So speaking of Jacob, since we have seen his gameplay, I can talk a little bit of how he fights. He's definitely more up close and personal, as I said, and he's very brutal. He's got brass knuckles. He has these throwing knives. He's got a 6-shooter pistol. And there's a part, it was kind of like, not really gameplay footage, but it was kind of like teaser to show off his new weapons. And he like stabbed this dude through the hand into his eye and nailed him to a train. It was crazy. I was like, ugh, that's a little too violent, but I love it. Also, there's this sort of new zipline grappling hook hidden blade thing going on. I can't really remember what it was called, but you can like shoot it up in the air. That way you can ascend buildings faster. And there's also zip lines, so it kind of reminds me of the hook blade, which allowed you to slide down buildings and go from place to place faster, as in Revelations, which added a whole new aspect to the traversal, which I really liked. So speaking on traversal and transportation, traversal, it seems that free running is still the same, but there are two new things, at least from what I could tell, and that is carriages and trains. Now, we haven't seen any gameplay of the trains. I've just seen pictures of still images of fighting on trains, but that was before the game was revealed, so things are probably changed, but I'm assuming you can still fight on trains. Carriages, definitely useful because I believe the map for Syndicate is much larger than Unity's map from what I heard. I cannot remember the exact figures on size, but it's definitely bigger. So carriages will help you get from place to place quicker if you don't feel like fast traveling. I do have a question about carriages that I'll touch a little bit later from what I saw in the gameplay, which I found very odd and strange. I do think carriages and trains will make for some really interesting missions, especially for trains. Being in that confined space, if you are inside the train, can really build up attention in a mission, or if you're on top of a train, give you that sense of high speed. So that'd be really sweet. Next, I'm going to talk very briefly. There is no multiplayer in the sense of PvP or co-op. I'm not really surprised. I think it will take a year or two to see PvP come back into Assassin's Creed. Free running still isn't there based off of Unity. I can't really say it for Syndicate because I haven't played it yet. But free running is not there yet in my mind. And co-op, they need to refine the hell out of that before that becomes enjoyable, because you could just run through that guns blazing and just be fine. Next, there is no companion app. This was, I believe, recently announced, which is good because everyone who got the companion app for Unity knows that thing was a mess. I didn't even use it because I was afraid my save data was going to get deleted. And then eventually they released all the outfits that you had to get through the companion app, but it was just like a hassle. So there's no companion app. They kind of, I believe, I can't remember who said it, but someone on the team making the game said they wanted to go back more to the roots of the game. And I can see this with no multiplayer and no companion app trying to bog you down with all these alternate peripherals and multiplayer, focusing more on the core aspects of the game, which I can definitely get behind because Unity and Rogue was definitely lacking in the core aspects of the game. But now I'll go to my two questions that I have in these last couple minutes of the gameplay. First is relating to the two characters you play as, Evie and Jacob. I believe everyone assumed that one of them was going to die at the end of the game. And I'm assuming it's going to be Evie because early on, I think I read you play as Evie 25% of the time, and maybe that's only in story missions. So that's why it kind of led me to believe you can switch in free roam only, but maybe they changed that up. But if they let you play as both siblings post game, I'll be really happy because I'm gonna be playing as Evie probably all the time. But if she dies, I'll be a little upset. But that's gonna be really interesting to see how they handle that dynamic, because I'm assuming everyone thinks that someone's gonna die. But if you get two main characters surviving, that's gonna be pretty awesome. And lastly, I have to touch on is the carriages. Now you say, what's going on with these carriages that makes you so puzzled? Well, in the gameplay trailer, they are in a chase with some carriages, and they are absolutely obliterating these people on the streets. They're running them over, they're getting trampled under hoof, getting their heads smashed by the wooden wheels. It's not pretty. These people are not surviving. And in past games, if you killed civilians as Ezio, Altair, Arno, I don't know about, I'm assuming Shay too, but nothing, it says they did not kill civilians, game will desynchronize if you do this again. And there was none of this popping up when Jacob was just destroying these people with his carriage. So I'm not sure if it's going to be like if you played Watch Dogs, for example, where the city kind of sees you in the light of good or bad based on your actions. If you ran over people in Watch Dogs in cars, for example, they would see you in a negative light. So maybe they're adopting that for Syndicate. Not quite sure. That'd be a little interesting. I don't know if I'd be a fan of it, but I could see them doing it, trying to implement other aspects of different games. So that's going to be interesting. But the game is winding down, guys. I'm really interested to see what you think about Syndicate. Based off the gameplay I saw, I was pretty excited. It seemed like a fresh enough take on some new things where I would enjoy it personally, even though there is no multiplayer. Felt like the additions of the carriage and the fighting style is a little different. It looked pretty sweet. But as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me your thoughts on what you think about Syndicate. I will have more multiplayer videos coming out. I apologize for the delay. I have 2 videos ready to get uploaded. But as always, guys, I'm Teddy Creek, and I'm out. Have an awesome day, guys. See ya.